Hey everybody, hello fellow makers, welcome to Prop Live, your weekly prop and costume making Q&A session. Although we weren't here last week, actually last Thursday, I was in LA hanging out with my buddy Ted.
What?
That's right, we were at BlizzCon.
Con!
Hooray!
Yes!
We were down in LA and we're talking to our buddies, including Ted, who was like, hey, can I be on the show? About half an hour ago, we're like, sure, we don't have a guest. We are still reeling and getting back to normal life for a brief moment before I have to run back down to Southern California again. But Ted!
Yes.
That was your first BlizzCon, wasn't it?
Dude, it was amazing. I went to a BlizzCon. My first one was actually never really like an experience. It was more like a job. It was back when BlizzCon was in Los Angeles at the Anaheim Convention Center.
Wasn't that where it was right now? Or did it move?
No, it moved. It was at the Los Angeles Convention Center, one of the
okay.
earlier ones. And you know what I think it was? I think it was, take that back, it might have been E3. This might still have been my first BlizzCon because it was an E3 convention and Steve Wang did the Nova Girl and I had the gun and Steve was able to get me a pass. So I was able to go. And that was my first E3 convention at a BlizzCon statue. Now I think about it, matter of fact, it was my first BlizzCon.
Super cool. Well, I've just pulled up a picture of the Nova statue up on the screen there, and you say you built that gun.
Yes, I did.
And I've built that gun before, too.
Yes, and yes, you did. And as a matter of fact, that was our first, when we first met, that was our conversation.
Yeah. This was actually exactly 3 years ago, by the way, when I was down there for BlizzCon and Kamikaze. I have to dig. I have to find it. But there's a photo of me with my gun in front of the statue with your gun that you made. And I got to find that at some point. But anyway, this was your first time being like super cool guy hanging out at BlizzCon in a costume.
Right, and it was amazing. I was not. It's one of those things where it's like I knew it would be fun, but I was not prepared for the level of quality of cosplay of people, builders, Twitch streamers. It was just like such a overwhelming. Like, oh my god! Like I was so like I was a fan myself of seeing other people's work and taking pictures of their work, and then they would go, "Oh my god, you're Evil Ted." I'm like, "Oh my god, your costume's amazing," and like. The level of quality of costume was great, and my big shout out to Eric, Core Geek. Got to see him finally in person. The Egg Sisters were amazing to meet them in person, and to see their amazing Reinhardt. And I actually got to help them get dressed in it. Was fun, and just the level of quality. And there's so many cosplayers. I can't even mouth them all up. I was overwhelmed.
I mean, even if we're just counting Reinhardts, there were 4 of them.
And Vert Vixen.
Yep. Oh my goodness, how awesome was that?
And I tell people that costume, you think is great in pictures. When you were standing next to her, it was insane the level of detail. I was just like, insane. And also a big shot of Eric and his glowing sword. It smoked.
Yeah, that costume is a testament to what can happen with a handful of incredibly talented makers in a very short period of time, because that came to get together fast in different cities too.
How long do you have on that sword? How much time?
I mean, like a week or so. Not
long.
Oh
my god! What, a week to make that?
Yeah. Well, I think Eric had it in hand, and like he got the 3D printed parts and everything. He had to make the blade and embed the lights and everything.
But you have to sandal that, clean it up.
Yeah.
Paint it. Okay.
Solo Roboto is in the chat. Our buddy Steven.
Hey, Steven.
Who I did not see this weekend, but I saw his fiance. I ran into her randomly at Disneyland. He was pointing out the meeting, the photo of the epic meeting when I first met Ted, and I just found it. I had to go through my personal Facebook page.
That's right.
Let's see here. Web. There it is. This picture has Taylor and Will and me and Evil Ted's blinking.
I know. I made a big thing about I blinked.
And Svetlana and Benny and Chad and Holly and Kai and Steven and Aubriana. What a wonderful... That was I feel like, kind of when this group of makers kind of coalesced. You know what I mean? Like that, for some reason in that house, we all got together for this thing and it kicked something off, which was pretty cool. And then the next day, I went to Blizzard and I got a picture in front of the statue and I can't find it. I will keep looking.
No worries.
But in the meantime, what else do we have on the agenda here? Oh, you have an update for your website. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, everybody. EvilTedSmith.com. I got my site completely revamped. An amazing little web designer. His name is Brandon. He's Brandon Box Site Designs. I put it on my page as well too. He's a fantastic web designer. He basically came in. I got introduced to him from Sharon. Sarah, I'm sorry. Sarah, who originally had my site, she's helping, but she got overwhelmed with some other things. She passed me up to him. I said, look, I love what Bill has and Stefana. Like, I kind of described what I was kind of going for. And he kind of put his own touches, and he kind of said, well, tell you what, let me take a stab. Let me show you what I have. And he came back with this template. I was like, oh, my God, it's amazing. So he kind of like took reins. I told him what I specifically wanted. He just ran with it. So if you guys get a chance, check out the site. It's been revamped. It's so much cleaner now. And I have officially Fan Photo Friday.
Ooh, I like this.
Fan Photo Friday is I want people, if you guys are inspired, watch my videos and have things you want to share, you can send your picture to me. And like Bill, I always say, try to send a photo, finished product, not thing like half built. Just send me a complete photograph of a nice costume. And in return, I will promote you on Friday. I'll put your picture up. And if you have like an Instagram or a Facebook page or a website, I will push that as well. And I will send you personally a sticker.
Oh, that's a pretty good deal. I saw you handing out stickers at BlizzCon too.
Oh, thank you. And I give out the stickers as well. And in return, and what happens is I will rotate. So then that Friday, your picture goes into a Fan Photo Friday folder. And then we put up a new fan every Friday. And over time, I will build up a library of fans in my fan photos. Because people have been sending me pictures. I'm always kind of like, I need some place to put these. Because there's some great ones.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Awesome. Well, let me see what else we have here. We got your YouTube channel. Obviously, everyone should go subscribe there. Everyone should be following Ted on Twitch. You've been streaming on Twitch. You've been twitching. Ted's been twitching a lot. Twice a week. Super awesome. What else do we have here? Oh, a couple of things. You made it into the Sneaky Zebra video. You had a prominent role. God. Let me see if I can bring that up for everyone at home. Really
quickly, guys, I'm going to be shout out that Sneaky Zebra. I discovered them, years ago. Holly Conrad went to England with her Mass Effect Shepherd armor and her little blade, and she was out there, and she came back, and I said, how was the con? She goes, it was fun. I got in this video. And I watched the video, and there's a lot of people out there that make music videos, but Sneaky Zebra are the kings. These guys, and they're between Nick and his cinematography and Gary with his editing, these guys have a great combination of coverage, and the way they piece it to music. And so my dream is like someday I want to be in a Sneaky Zebra video.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to bring my A game and build this crazy costume for BlizzCon. I showed up. They're like, hey, Ted, I'm like, can we shoot it? I'm like, yes, shoot me. And what they end up doing and showed me, I was like blown away. It was amazing. So super cool to be shot by those guys.
That's really fun. All these links we'll show and we'll put in the show notes so everyone can check them out. There was also a Warcraft cosplay video. Also, IGN did a couple of videos that were pretty good, but the Blizzard one that those guys shot for Warcraft specifically was amazing. It was very cinematic. It was really, really cool. And I was into that one. That was pretty fun. And funny story about that. I got to be the professional prop maker got to be the guy whose prop boat broke. In the video.
Oh, that's right, with the hammer.
I spun around, so I got my mace behind me. If you guys haven't seen it, glowing, super awesome. I like that a lot. The guys are like, hey, swing your hammer like really dramatic, and it'll be in slow motion. It'll look really cool. So I swung it a couple times, and then they were like, what if you did a spin? And I thought, well, this thing is only friction fit together, so it'll probably fall apart. But it's foam. It's not going to break. Who cares? Let's go for it. So I did a spin. The top of that thing flew off like a rocket. All the spikes went flying. It was hilarious. The prop suffered 0 damage because it's all foam. And everyone got a good chuckle out of it. So
And they put it in the video.
And they put that in the video. That with the funny, it was funny, or better to go with the funny one than the dramatic one. Also, I made a BlizzCon video, and Ted's in that one too.
And I tell you what, just a big shout out to Bill in that video. Was that video? What I like about that captures the fun, just the energy, and everybody was just like, we were like kids, like we all were loving everything. We're like a kid in a candy store. Every time I turn up, would talk and meet or see somebody, and it was like there was so much joy and so much fun and so much chatting that video is chaotic, and all the imagery and the people and jumping around in costumes. It was like that for 2 days in a row, solid.
Yes, it was.
So much fun.
We were playing handler to Steven and his orc, so we got like some video of Brittany wearing the orc head and the giant arm for it. We got our buddies in the Murloc suits running around, which was incredible. Just in general, it was super duper fun, and it was really, really great to be able to capture some of that and share it with you guys.
Yes,
what else? One more thing, and then we'll start taking some. Oh, go ahead.
One thing, really quickly, guys. Right now, when Bill contacted me, I'm like, oh wait, speaking of the video, I was shooting my how to make ram horns. I have ram horn patterns that people love, which I use to make this helmet.
That looks pretty awesome.
As these ram horns are all solid. Like Bill and I say, it's foam, so it won't break. I have a pattern for those. I'm going to be putting in my store. And I figured they're kind of complicated to put together. So I'm going to do an instructional video on how to put those together when I'm shooting right now. I should have it up next week. So my patterns, I'll have ram horns patterns in my store next week.
Excellent.
Okay. That's
Super cool. The last thing I want to throw out there, Ted's been all over the place, including the DIY Prop Shop, this show on the Aw Me channel. You did McCree's gun, and that was awesome.
Thank you. And that was fun. And I won't say I was channeling Bill in that because there's some techniques I learned from Bill on his hand cannon was the detail on the outside, all the rivet. I was like, oh, wait, that's something. Yeah, how would I do it? Those DIY prop shops are fun, but they shoot fast. Mm-hmm. And I wish I had a longer time. But someone's like, hey, so I cranked that gun out. In a day, it turned out okay. I'll tell you what, I'm being a kind of perfectionist. The gun's good. I like it. It served its purpose to get people inspired to show them how to go out making props and making handguns and making their own weapons for their costumes. But I wish I had a little bit more time. And I did the Fallout armor for the DIY prop shop as well, too. Mm-hmm. That was fun.
Both really, really cool. Okay, we'll have links to all of these things in the show notes for this episode. But now we need to take some questions. And also, I can't find that picture with the freaking statue. My quest continues.
Okay.
Quest continues. While we take some questions, I will look further. All right, let's grab the first one. Oh, also, if you have a question and you'd like us to answer it on the episode today, then go to punishedprops.com/live. There's a little form there. Throw your question in, that'll get emailed over to us, and Brittany, who is upstairs handling all of that, she will drop it in the note for me, and we will answer it. That's the best way to wrangle all the questions, so don't post your questions in the chat unless you want someone in the chat to answer. But if you want me or Ted to answer your question, go to punishedprops.com/live, and we only have a handful of questions in there right now. So if you submit one now, very good chance it will get to
the chance will probably get in there really quick.
All right. Valissa wants to know, I'm about to spray paint my first coat of, I presume, paint on my Winter Soldier arm. Any tips? It's sealed, and I have a base black gloss coat on so far, and I'm waiting for my gloss silver versus Rust-Oleum chrome paint test to make my final decision. Any general tips or top coat for suggestions? I don't know what the arm is made out of.
What is this? Is it foam or fiberglass?
It's hard to tell. So if it were, let's say it were rigid, like fiberglass or cast resin, any tips on painting that? And we'll do foam after.
On that, there's chrome spray paint has changed so much over the years. Now the quality is insane. There's a particular brand called Montana that they made for street artists, basically guys who tag.
Yep.
And they have gold and chrome, and we used to use it at the prop house, and the quality and the sheen that comes out is amazing, but if you paint it, don't touch it for at least a day and a half,
Hmm.
because it comes out heavy and it's glossy, but it'll pick up fingerprints. Whatever, like spray it and then set it aside, let it dry. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Like then like, oh, it's perfect. Put it aside.
I
That,
see Montana Gold Chrome on Amazon. This may be something
yeah.
you have to look around for.
Matter of fact, hold on. I think I have a can right here. Hold on.
All right, you go find the thing. I'm gonna scour Amazon and Montana Black. I don't see that. This might be the sort of thing that would be a little more difficult to find on the internet. Maybe eBay, or maybe they have their own website. Hey, there's
This is
Ted.
this is Montana Black. It's a particular brand. This is the Chrome. There's different kinds of Montana, but this is called Montana Black.
And where do you get that stuff?
This is at a these are high-end art stores. Grappin. There's a
Hmm.
Aaron Brothers, like where they sell the kind of like the high-end, like the graphic, the high-quality art store stuff. That usually has it. There's a matter of fact, I wonder if you could probably get this online as well too. But and also the caps too. There's different. You change caps because since they're made for guy spray painting, there's different. You get controlled different widths from changing your cap from wide to thin to mist with different colored caps.
There you go. All right, now if it were foam, how would you try and paint it as
Okay,
silvery as possible?
here's the trick I learned with foam. What I've done is I usually use there's a again acrylic. There's acrylic. Bill likes to use the acrylic, the high quality acrylic, because I use Nova. There's a company out here in Los Angeles called Nova.
Yeah, yeah.
They have great acrylic and metallics, and there's also Createx. Is that the one? Createx.
Createx has some good acrylic paints too. Yeah.
They have metallics. What I've done, as a cheat, is I paint it with acrylic silver, and then I dust it with chrome, like chrome spray paint. I dust it because if you put on chrome spray paint heavy, it'll just crack. But
Right.
I've done the chrome acrylic painting on things, and to give it the extra sheen, I let that dry and I dust it with chrome, and the flakes from the chrome spray paint just kind of sprays it, and it gives it a sheen.
Cool.
But you don't go heavy. You just dust it, so you have the acrylic base with that little bit of a sheen to it.
Cool.
It stays
We in the chat we've got Hey Patch just pointed to Montana cans.com for Montana.
Okay, fantastic.
Paints. So I've got that up here. Montana Silver Chrome. That looks pretty awesome.
Yeah,
And they specifically call out. They specifically call out which cap it has. Their fat cap, whatever that is. And then
that means it comes like a garden hose. It goes.
yeah.
So you got to get the
Steven,
thin one.
Solo Roboto in the chat says that Michael's in California at least. Michael sells Montana, and so does Blick and Aaron. Excuse me, Aaron Brothers.
Blex. That's it. Blex. That's another good one. You're right.
There
Correct.
you go. All right, cool. Hopefully, one of those solutions will work out for Valissa. We got one here from Django. Hey, Bill, I'm making more props and costumes for myself and my kids. And I want to take a moment to point out, for Halloween this year, I got a lot of tweets from people making some really, really cool costumes for their tiny kids. And I think that's
Yes.
amazing. Including my brother, who made a Lex Luthor costume for his 1.5-year-old. That was just adorable.
They're amazing.
Let's see here. Being kids, they can really dent or bend foam well. I've tried Plasti Dip, Flex Bond, Mod Podge, and each one works well, but it still bends or creases. He's curious about a non-toxic way to harden the EVA. He's mentions Creature Cast here, which is a neoprene.
Yes.
But of course, Ted's new favorite product.
Poly latex 60.
Yeah. The latex doesn't harden. It doesn't make a hard shell, but it stays incredibly flexible.
And it won't crease like other things will. It
No.
really will take a beating. You could have it in your, like, Bill put stuff in his, like, suitcase.
I did.
Here, show 'em.
Here's the story. This axe, I put that mace behind my head and
Yes.
this axe. I put them both in one piece of luggage. So that all comes apart. This comes apart. This wouldn't quite fit. So I bent this 90 degrees and
Yes.
jammed it in there. So it was bent. Here, let me... I just want you guys to appreciate that this was in my luggage like that. Bent
Yeah.
90 degrees. All
And it
right.
stayed like that for hours.
Yeah, stayed like that for a very long time. It came out of the luggage, spring, bounced right back. No creases, no nothing. So
Yeah.
get on board the latex train.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
The trick is that stuff is it's vulcanized rubber. It's kind of like the same thing with the soles of shoes. It's really dense. Once it gets layered up enough, it's like bulletproof. It's really tough.
there you go. So Django, Creature Cast is pretty cool, but also give latex a try.
Yeah, latex 60.
I see. I just got a note in the chat there that our buddy Hoku Props subscribed for 2 months in a row. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Chad got to be in Weird Al's show, by the way, at BlizzCon. How crazy was that?
That's awesome.
So fantastic. That was my first time ever seeing Weird Al, and I've been a fan of his for like 30 years. So
And I heard he brought it too, and I missed it.
he brought it. Absolutely. All right, next question from Death Bright. I'm looking.
Hey, Death Bright.
Yeah, I'm looking for my first airbrush compressor, but after looking around for a while, there isn't a lot of reviews. What's a good one for a first time? I don't mind spending a little more to get something that will last. I really want it to last a while. I got a fairly cheap, I think Badger or Master Air or whatever, one off of Amazon that's been fine.
Right.
But I've only ever tried that one. Have you tried out different airbrush compressors?
It's so funny. I bought the Craftsman. I bought this giant Craftsman one I've had when I moved out here in '89. Okay, and I still have it.
Yeah.
It still runs. And I always say if that thing blows up yesterday, money's well spent. This thing's been running forever. As long as you get at least enough compression to push out 25 psi,
Which is not very much.
that's all
Yeah.
you need. It's like 25 psi. Just you need enough just to spray late. You can use a critter gun with it. You can use
Yep.
an airbrush with it. You don't need a lot for so just something that puts out at least 25 psi.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
I started with I believe it was a Husky, like a 1 gallon, like a tiny, maybe 3 gallon little compressor, like a shop compressor that worked just fine. The airbrush specific compressors are a lot quieter, which is nice. If you're not worried about that and you want something that you can run the whole shop on, just go get a little pancake compressor. You can get all the fittings to hook up an airbrush to that, and you can fill the tires in your car. So
Okay. And yeah, mine is not. Mine's like, bah!
yeah,
Which makes me realize that I can't work at night. It's like, I love mine, but Bill's right about having something quiet because
Yeah.
mine it sounds like a freaking tank when it goes off. So
if you do want to get specifically a good airbrush compressor, go talk to Frank Ippolito. He probably
Yeah.
knows what to do, but I haven't tried very many of those. All right. Thank you, Death Bright, and good luck, and have fun with your airbrushing. There's a lot you can do once you get one of those guys.
and once you get going on, you're going to say, why didn't I do this years ago?
Yeah. Prop Monkey Cosplay says, after heat shaping my foam pieces, I Plasti Dipped them only to have my pieces flattened out again. It seems as though there's shrinkage. I do think there is a little bit with Plasti Dip. It shrinks a little bit. He says, have you experienced this, and what can I do to alleviate this problem? I don't rely on heat forming alone to hold a shape, especially if it's a complex curve like on your pauldrons. Cutting darts or cutting seams that force the foam into a specific form when you glue the seams together will guarantee that it's not going to flatten out. And I will also build ribs on the underside of pauldrons. I'll build ribs out of more foam, glue it in there so that the pieces are just going to hold that shape. That's generally what I like to do. How about you, Ted?
That's actually a really good idea. I'm with Bill in the sense of like most patterns I have, my shoulder pieces like this guy right here. These are two pieces to get this really complex curve. Or two pieces curled. Because what happens is the heat forming some of the solvents from things like the plastic dip or some of the solvents kind of reactivates the foam and makes it go soft. And that's what's making everything relax and go back to its natural state. But yeah, if you heat foam, I'm with Bill. It's curling something. If you heat something, curl it. I love Bill's idea of putting a little rib, like cut a little half circle, and just going. Therefore, if you make it, it's already done, and you really have no way to go back in there. Then just make a little trace that, make a little. Yeah, hold on. Bill's gonna get you an example.
Oh, I don't. Yep. I didn't do it on this one, but there's a seam down the middle, and this is holding its shape perfectly. Actually, this top part right here.
That top part helps. Yes,
helps a lot too, but that's just part of this design. Or the rib would be like this, only on the inside. And I also like doing that because it'll take a shoulder piece, right? Let's see here. And it will hold it up off my shoulder or away from my arm. That just makes my arms look big and beefy. So I like doing it. Oh, there that goes.
Got it.
Throw it. There we go. All right. So there's a couple things for you to try out Prop Monkey cosplay, but in general, don't count on heat forming by itself.
Yeah. You know, one more thing I just realized. Another trick I used to do is taking strap. I used to take a 1-inch elastic, barging the elastic and barging the inside, and putting tension on it when you push it in, so it kind of forces a curl into it, and that helps too. That's a little bit more elaborate, but it's another way of handling it.
Yep. Very cool. All right, let's grab one here from Venger. In regards to glue, sizing is the process of applying glue to a surface with the purpose of partially sealing it and thereby allowing for better adhesion between it and other sized surface. I'm not really sure what all that meant. Depending on the glue, such as hide glue, or the material such as white pine, sizing can be mandatory. In your experience with foam or contact cements, have you ever found it necessary to size? So this process called sizing, I'm completely unfamiliar with. But it doesn't sound like something I've ever had to do with foam to create a better or longer lasting bond. If you use barge, like a little bit of barge and 2 pieces of foam, and glue them together, the bond will be stronger than the foam.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, so if it tears, it's not because you didn't put enough glue on or you didn't put the glue on appropriately. It'll be because the foam failed. If you need something to be more structurally sound, then you could do... I remember seeing one of your videos, Ted, where you put layers of fabric behind the foam to make sure the seams don't come apart. So there's things you can do like that. I've never heard of sizing in that
no, I've not heard of that yet.
Yeah, in that capacity before, but I'll have to look that up.
That might be a hip phrase or something we don't know. So.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what all the cool kids are doing these days.
That's right, because we're old now. So that's what happens.
With hide glue sizing. Sizing my bow with hide glue. All right. I'm going to have to look into that. So I learned something new today. But as far as I know, Venger, not necessary with foam. Not at all. And if you use hot glue or super glue, all of those will be stronger than the foam. All right. Lotus Blossom has a question. I've been wanting to start my own proper costume making business for a very long time now, but I don't know where to start. I have what I like to call the chicken or the egg syndrome. Should I build a following first, then a product? I will first point out it's going to be you're going to have a hard time building a following with no product. So I would probably start building stuff.
That was my advice, Bill. I said the thing is, if you want to start something, you're going to have something to show. Mm-hmm. People always say, "Hey, Ted, I want to start doing commissions and costumes." I'm like, well, for people to come to you, you have to show them the quality of work you've done. So start building stuff, build stuff for yourself, build a lot of cool pieces, and start building up a library of costumes and props and things. And when people start seeing your work, you tweet it. Instagram post, have people follow your work so that day comes and we say, hey, I'm taking commissions. They'll say, hey, I know that person.
Okay. And also bear in mind too, Lotus Blossom might have a different idea when he or she says product. Like my videos are a product. My blog entries that I do or that I did a long time ago before anyone knew who I was, those are my product, and you pay for it with your time. So build those products as you go. Start making props and put them online. Make a blog where it follows your build, or make videos on them, or make pictures on Pinterest or Facebook. Those are your products, and people pay for it with their time. That is how you build your following. And then when you're ready to create new products like books, like ebooks or patterns, then you use that other platform the other content to spread the word about the things you want people to buy. So my books are just a different product that I sell, except those ones you pay for with money, as opposed to just paying for it with your time on a YouTube video.
And as Kamui Cosplay would always say, buy my books.
Buy my books. Buy my books. Buy my books. How awesome is that?
That is awesome.
Yeah, so Lotus Blossom, just keep making stuff and just put it on the internet. Find a place on the internet to put it. Start a blog, start a Facebook page, start a YouTube channel, even better.
Yes.
That's a lot more difficult to do, but a lot less people are doing it. So if you're looking to get ahead and you're willing to put in the legwork, that's a great place for it. I mean, Ted started his channel way after I did, and he's gonna surpass me lickety split.
The thing is, I can just one big quick shout out while we're here on the stream. Bill's been super supportive. When I started off, I was a movie industry guy, but I'm coming into this world that was completely new to me. And we started. What happened is Bill and I kept getting tweeted together.
Yeah.
And like, oh, Bill, and I'm like, who's this Bill guy? And I started watching Bill. I'm like, holy crap, Bill's really good. And Bill came from a different avenue of just being a fan who loves the craft. And he started building. And I worked in Hollywood. I was a guy like the craft that got pulled in the movie industry. But we both have a passion for building what we love. And when I found Bill, I was like, and Bill's like, okay, welcome to this world, Ted. Here's what you should be doing. And he's been holding my hand through this and getting me going. So this has been fantastic. So big shout out to Bill. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we all raise each other up, and the better you get at it, the better I get at it. So it's a good place to be. All right. Someone's going to check off their bingo, one of their bingo things, because we got a question from Sam. Sam over at Bio Cosplay says, how would you go about making a costume of a robot whose spine is exposed and is missing its midsection? You hired Doug Jones because he is ridiculously thin.
Yeah, that's the trick. And the other thing too is, build your costume very, very like the torso wide, so you can make a big chunk out of it, kind of a thing.
Yeah. So if you make the chest part of it proportionally a little bit oversized, the waist part will look smaller in comparison. Right. Just it's same thing, like wider hips, wider chest, then the midsection will look very thin. Have the rib cage part come around, like if it's a skeleton or a robot with a rib cage sort of thing. Wear a black shirt under that. It's never going to be perfect because you've got organs and guts that are just in the way. But look up. What I would do is specifically look up costumes that are similar, like a skeleton costume. And what was it? The Skeleton King is a good one from Diablo. Let's see if anyone's ever done
costume
that.
Of that.
Yeah, well, I got a picture up of a statue someone did. Oh, and of course my thanks Google. I didn't want that anyway. I got a picture here, and he has just a spine, and his rib cage is up into his armor. So it's kind of a really, really tricky thing to pull off. Now here's a costume, and it looks like someone put the spine on the front and wore a black costume, and that works okay. Although the spine really should be at the back. But if you make it just on the back and you have a black shirt on your body, then you won't see the spine from the front. So you got to figure out really what you think looks best. Here's another one, another tiny photo. Why bother putting that up on the internet? It's so tiny. Oh, no, wait. Here we go.
I hate when they do that. I know, it drives me crazy when they do that.
There it is. Yeah, it looks like this person put the spine on the front. And you may have to make that compromise because it'll look pretty good in photos. So that's one way to do it. The one thing I would recommend is probably end up modifying the design a little bit so that it looks good.
Yeah, it's the same with most character things they do in design the computers. Most of the costumes they build don't work in the real world, so you have to make some alterations. So
yeah, and I think some of the costumes I've seen that have been the most impressive are ones that other people haven't tried because there's a challenge like that that's hard to pull off, and they've solved it in a very creative way. And usually that means just altering the design a little bit. If you're able to do that and still maintain the look of that character, mission accomplished. But it's not easy, so good luck, Sam. I'm just looking at more pictures of this. What's his face? Leoric, the Skeleton King, and I'm like, boy, that's tough. Actually, here's a pretty good one.
Okay.
Brittany and I have thought about this one a lot because Britt kind of wants to do the Skeleton King. He has a cape. All right. Mm-hmm. So build the chest out a bit so that there's a gap.
Skeleton King, and I'm like, boy, that's
Hey, caller, your radio's on.
actually
Dang it, I'm sorry. I was trying to catch the chat. It just doesn't work. Sorry.
Build the chest out a little bit so there's a gap down to your belly. Put the
Right.
spine in the front, and then put a cape behind you, and then
Ah, see.
you'll never see it. I don't know if your robot has a cape there, Sam, but maybe add one. Maybe that's the modification you make. So there you go. There's one good way to do it too, as well. Good luck though. I mean, that's a challenging
It is.
thing to
Yeah.
do.
Busy. Hard work.
All right. Did anyone get bingo from that? I don't see it. All right. Brittany really does want to do that one. We're already trying to figure out what we want to start for BlizzCon next year.
What is that from? What is that
Diablo, the game Diablo. Yeah. All right, Corium9, another one of our regulars. He says, with Ted, part of the DIY prop shop, and Bill doing articles and such for Tested, what/how are those outlets different from your normal channels? Do you approach that material differently for those channels, etc.?
For me, I think it's great because I don't have to do anything but just show up and do
That's
it.
right.
It's so awesome. It's like a DIY prop shop. They're like, "Hey, Ted," I'm like, "I love it." They come with the lights, the camera, and I just build. They shoot and they set up lights and they zip around me, and I don't have to do squat but build. And I love it. Same thing with Tested. I went to Frank's shop. Like, "Hey, Ted," shows up. I'm like, "Yeah," and I just talked and built. I didn't have to shoot it. I didn't have to edit it. It was wonderful.
Yeah, the handful of video stuff I've done with Tested has been like that, which is wonderful. And their production crew, Joey and Adam and those guys over there, are better at it than I am, way better at it than I am, and I don't have to do it, which is the best part.
Yes, awesome.
And then for the articles that I write with those guys, I like to pick topics and things that I just have a hard time justifying the time to do for myself. But Tested pays me to write articles every month. In fact, I'm way overdue to get a couple articles to them. So I can use that as a place to explore stuff that I normally wouldn't usually try to write. So not only does it get my work in front of a new audience, which is wonderful, but it also gives me a chance to try some new stuff. So there. Very, very cool. Good question. Great question, Corey M9. Lee, our buddy that we saw at BlizzCon. I ran into him everywhere. He says, what are some good lightweight alternatives for PVC or a wooden dowel to use as a handle for reinforcement? He had a PVC handle that broke. He was thinking of aluminum, but he can't figure out how to attach stuff to it. So what else? What other materials do you think for like the inside of a handle of a weapon? What would you go with then?
I would go with a fiberglass rod. There's the kind you use on bicycles. I think in the prop house, we'd use those for baseball bats and crowbars. And movies when guys are swinging bats at somebody, even aluminum rod would bend, but we need something that would bend and snap back.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got these like really nice flexible fiberglass rods. And if you want to attach, what we would do was we take a little machined aluminum tube on it, drill it, tap it, and have a little like countersink screw head into it. So you'd have two fiberglass rods and you could just slot one in and then tighten the screw to put the two pieces together. I mean, that's if you want to keep because without doing PVC, but you still want but you want that rigidity, but thinner and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
That's my advice.
I know out here we have Tap Plastics and they've got all kinds of stuff like that, including fiberglass rods, tubes, and carbon fiber as well.
There you go. Yes, those are awesome.
Yeah, so these are a little bit more spendy than just getting a PVC pipe, but if you're looking to build a sword out of foam and you want it to be longer and more rigid without snapping, like dowels will snap and have broken shards of wood and all that, then PVC, the next step up from that would be fiberglass, carbon fiber. Actually, if you need a carbon fiber rod, go to a kite store. They have all kinds of
no kidding. You're absolutely right. And the thing is, people will be intimidated because they'll hold the real thin rod and go, "Oh, it's flexible." Not when it's sandwiched between two pieces of foam. You just need the rigidity. Once it's inside two pieces of foam, it's not going to wiggle around. It just needs to keep it from bowing. So
there you go. All right, cool. Got you covered, Lee. Got you covered, and thank you for the question. Hope you had a good time at BlizzCon. Sean here, he wants to know, I'm making my first foam armor cosplay and want to use rub and buff for the metallic luster. What would you seal it using a spray varnish? I do like my varnish. What would you
I just
spray? What would you seal something like Rub and Buff with on your foam armor?
I'm with Bill. I would probably do a varnish. Bill turned me on to varnish, and now I'm digging it. I think I varnish this guy. I paint him, but then matte varnish, clip varnish. You can use acrylic glaze, but you're right. Everything you're going to do is going to knock down the sheen of
Yeah.
your rub and buff. What I've done is I've always the rub and buff and silver stuff. I always do last. Like I just coat everything, and anything silver, I'll go back. I painted this whole thing and coated it, then went back in with the silver, so it stayed bright.
You could even, and this is something I learned from our pal Steven over at Solo Roboto. You could paint it all silver. It's still got that metallic sheen. Hit it with your varnish. That'll knock it back a little bit, and then highlight it with silver again. So you'll get that. You'll get that sheen again, and if it rubs off a little bit, it'll rub down to a nice sealed, kind of more dull finish, but it won't go down to the base color.
Right.
Yeah. And Solo Roboto is in the chat right now. He's pointing out you don't really need to seal Rub and Buff though. It's
Because
true.
it dries. It's very waxy, but it's designed to dry. It's really kind of greasy when you put it on, but it's a wax base, and you leave it alone, it dries.
Mm-hmm. And then a lot of finishes too, metallic finishes, unless they're going to get handled a lot or they're going to get beat up a lot, you don't have to worry too much about sealing it at all if you're going to lose that shine. If it gets worn a little bit, you can just touch it up. So it depends on whether you want it to be more durable or if you're worried about the shine coming off of it. There you go. Very good question from Sean. Getting a shiny metallic finish on foam ain't easy, so good luck. Let's see. Scrap Shop Prop says, I would love to know how you manage to keep neck seals on while in costume. We had a real problem with our neck seal and our Reinhardt costume. So Ted's got a neck seal.
I got a neck seal. I'll show you. What I loved about this, and I'll be honest, I'm going to give Bill a shout out because I got on turn on this because, oh, for Christ's sakes, hold on. This thing's all snapped together. I used earth magnets. And the cool thing about earth magnets is they used to be really expensive. And over the years, they've gotten cheaper. And now you can pick them up.
I got some at Harbor Freight. 10 little ones for like a couple bucks.
That's where I got mine. And the cool thing about these guys, I can show you. On the suit, I wanted like a space helmet. I wanted a neck gasket on it. And I designed the suit so I could dress myself. Right here, back here, beep, earth magnets.
Ooh.
And once I slip it around my neck,
nice.
It just closes.
That is
like
fantastic.
That. And that's with Mirtha. In fact, I used to use Velcro, and it did get all uneven. It was really thick, and it stuck. Now, if this stick, it snaps on, pops right off.
And more importantly, you can get it off yourself.
Right. You just pull it off. It's just pressure fit. But I'll tell you what, when you work with these magnets, I take a Sharpie and I mark the part where they sticks because if you flip them, they'll push.
Yeah.
Because I got this all glued together and I was like, one side was pushing. I'm like, oh, it's because I had one backwards. Yep. So gotta watch out for that.
There you go. Magnets, everybody. The solution to all your cosplay problems. Thank you for the question. Scrap Shop Props. Beaumont Cosplay says, where is the best place to get barge contact cement? Not on the internet. I always buy mine from Amazon or TNT Cosplay Supply.
Yeah, I do too. TNT is great to get resource from. California, there's these weird laws. I used to go to Tandy Leather.
Yep.
To go get it. I drove all the way out there. They weren't close. I get out there and they're like, oh, sorry, we don't sell it anymore. I'm like, excuse me? OSHA cracked down something. I was so irritated. But there's a hobby store in my area that sells it still, so I was able to pick it up. Yeah. So it's Kitcraft.
You may have to look around there, but leather working stores are a good place. And here in Seattle, we have a Tandy. We also have, which I've never actually been to, but we have McPherson's Leather, which is a local one that's amazing, and it's closer. So I've always gone there. They're great.
Yeah, but once you use Barge, you'll understand why we all fight for it and use it because it's really good.
It's quality. Wonderful. I've heard good things about Drop. Frank has been singing praises of Drop.
I know, and people go, "Where do you get it?" I'm like, I always try to find links on the internet. I cannot find Drop anywhere
Yeah.
on the.
All right, let's. That was Beaumont Cosplay. Let's grab another one from Deathbright.
Hey, Death Bright.
I'm making some big armor, and since some of the big cons I get to wear them in are in the summer, what are good ways to stay cool or cool down? And how long is safe to stay in the big armor? We could ask Stephen K. Smith about how long he should stay in his armor, which is longer, or which is to say he stayed in longer than he should have, which I think was about 5 hours, which is a long time to wear a big costume.
And also do some of the stuff he thought when he built it was kind of a learning curve for himself, but he put these legs on, and there's solid foam with the muscles underneath there, and I think he would have done like big hoops and have hollow spaces for them have airflow. The key to not being overheated is having things floating off your body. Don't have things fitting you snug like a wetsuit. If you're wearing a big costume, as long as there's some space between you and the costume, helps, but it still gets warm.
It sure does. One thing you can do, no matter what, if you're an armor costume of any size, take breaks frequently. I have a couple of friends who are incredibly committed to staying in their costume, and it will be their downfall. I'm sure of it. One day we'll just find one of them just face down in the lawn. Be able to get at least your helmet off, but if you can get parts of your armor off by yourself, that's better, or have someone who can do it for you. And then take breaks frequently. And sometimes that means every 10 minutes if you're in a big costume. Sometimes 10 minutes in the costume is too much. So know your limits. Don't be a hero. Take breaks frequently. Drink lots of water.
And yeah, the head thing. Take your helmet off. Cool your head off.
Yeah, it's amazing how much that can increase your quality of life immediately. Yeah. Just take a helmet off. I can see and breathe again.
Because all the heat comes out of the top of your head.
Yeah. So don't be a hero, Deathbright. Don't be a hero.
Don't be a hero.
And I know a lot of people who wear really, really big costumes usually will only put it on for a couple hours a day. Right. And that's fine. Let's grab another one. Our buddy Nick over at Modulus Props. He says, I've heard Bill mention using a scalloped blade for his bandsaw to get a nice clean cut with EVA foam. Can't seem to find them anywhere. Do either of you know where to get them? I got mine at McMaster Car, but I will be honest, I don't use it that much.
Right.
It terrifies me. It's razor sharp.
Yeah,
it's crazy sharp. The difference between that and a normal bandsaw blade is a normal bandsaw blade has teeth that will actually remove material. This thing goes right through it without removing material. That means if you're running a piece of foam against the fence, then it will get stuck. It creates friction, which is really tricky. And a lot of the stuff I do in the bandsaw, I use the bandsaw because it has that fence. I recommend using like an 18 TPI metal cutting blade. That does pretty well. And those you can get anywhere. You just get
I'm with Bill. I prefer that. Frank bought one of the scalp blades at the shop, and just like a brand new blade, it just gets dull quickly.
Oh yeah.
Because we were working on a job, so everybody was pushing foam through it, and it was good for the first part of the day, and by midday it got dull.
Wow.
And then what was happening was when you're pushing in there, and like Bill's saying, it's not cutting, it's not removing, it's cutting. So I was doing these really circles, and it would just it would kind of bend it and pull into it. So I'd get these weird scallops and stuff. After a while, I was like, stick with the metal blade, with a fine tooth metal blade.
Yeah, and the best part about that is that blade is good for lots of other things.
And it won't dull. It just keeps going.
And even if it is dull, it'll cut foam, no problem.
Exactly. Doesn't matter.
If you go to McMaster Car, McMaster.com, and just look up bandsaw blade, you'll see just a crap load of specific blades.
Right. And they have pictures of the teeth, and they show you all the teeth. It's ridiculous.
Like, example, bandsaw blades for curved cuts in thin metal. Anti-vibration long life bandsaw blades for thin metal. What you want to look for is like fast cut bandsaw blades for soft materials, or the bandsaw blades for soft materials. Those are the scalloped ones, and you can see a picture of exactly what it looks like. Know that it has a freaking razor edge on it. So even just putting it on the bandsaw blade on the bandsaw can be a bit of an adventure. And it's terrifying. But yeah, just get an 18 TPI blade.
Problem solved.
Problem solved, Nick. Thanks for the question. Nostalgia says, I'm making some Lego-inspired guns out of PVC. That sounds awesome. But when working out what scale to do them in, should I go with a more comical large in the human form hand look or more of a real handgun scale? Lego accessories are always massive compared to the minifig. I've been working at a 16:1 scale, and that makes the handle diameter 55 millimeters. I think this is a personal preference, but I would go with comically large. That's what I would go with. What about you, Ted?
I agree, because that's what makes Lego so funny. Is that there's like the scale ratio, and beep, and the gun's giantly. And once again, making out of foam, you can make it big, and it won't weigh a ton.
That's right. Yeah. That's cool. That's always been something that I thought would be really fun to make. I have here. I'll just give everyone a quick bird's eye view of like some of my Lego up there. I don't think your camera's gonna move, Ted. Sorry, but I got a bunch of Lego up there. And looks like the battery died on my my mace back there. I need to talk to Dino about that. He claimed that battery would last all day. Anyway, yeah, that's make a giant comically large Lego gun. That sounds amazing. Nostalgia. We got time for a couple more here. Sherman Tank 25 says, greetings from Wellington, New Zealand.
Wellington.
Are you aware of the Neo Tokyo EVA foam print transfer technique? I don't know. I don't know what that is.
No, I do not either. What is this?
This is for transferring a pattern from, let me see here real quick. You'll need latex glue and white acrylic paint, EVA foam paper, they used a laser printer, acrylic medium gel. Basically, in this one, they printed out, it looks like a chainmail pattern, and transferred that pattern onto a piece of EVA foam. And that sounds really amazing. I'll show you guys a link in the, an image, a bunch of images. I'll put a link to this in the show notes for that, but it looks kind of cool. And I think it's pretty amazing. Essentially they print out this chainmail pattern, and get it all gooped up with some sort of gel, and then they glue it to the EVA foam, and then they use water to wash away the paper, and the pattern, the printed pattern, stays on the foam. That's really cool. That's super duper cool. You learn something new every day. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. Very cool technique, and that was shared to us by Sherman Tank 25. All right. Ooh, this is a good one. I want to know what Ted has to say. Iron Mark Props says, what's your most anticipated project for 2017?
Oh, okay.
Whatever it is you're building for BlizzCon in 1 year, right?
Right. Yeah, remember. Well, there's two suits I really want to do. I'm doing Vampire Hunter D. Vampire Hunter D was the one I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I finally just started streaming that on twitch.tv/EvilTedSmith Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
There you go.
I'm going to start streaming on Thursdays from noon to 3. I'm doing Vampire Hunter D, and I want to do a still suit from Dune.
Ooh.
I've been a big fan of that show for years as a kid, but at the time when I was hungry, I look back on that, and I could have built it. I had all the patterns and everything all laid out. I had all this stuff burnt out. I didn't have a body form to work with. I didn't know how to make a body form. I didn't have access to latex. I lived in Missouri, and I was like, and I was trying to build. And once again, if the 14-year-old met me, I would have been so damn happy. But unfortunately, I realized, wait a minute, I'm all grown up now, and I have this ability. I can now make the suit that I wanted to make when I was 14 years old. So that's a big one I want to build. I'm going to do Vampire D, and I want to do a still suit from Dune.
Very, very cool. Oh my goodness. All right, I'll just do it because I got the guy right here. I've been wanting to build this one for a long time, and I built the Hand of Rag, this action figure of the Tier 2 Paladin.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah, and I want to build this basically this version of it for BlizzCon next year. We have a couple of ideas for BlizzCon. This is pretty high on the list.
Wait a minute,
And
his hammer. Wait a minute, the hammer. I've seen that.
yeah, it's right behind me. I might do a different. If I do this one, then I might do a different weapon. I do know if I'm going to do this for BlizzCon, then I need to start like in January. Otherwise, it'll never get done. But it's just this particular version of it is more detailed, obviously, than the original model from the game. It's got these chains. It's got this heavy cloak-looking thing, and I love the proportion. The shoulders are massive compared to the dude. So that one's way up there as far as things I really want to do. 2017. Cool. Great question. We have a couple more. This one's from Ryan. He says, how do I measure body parts for foam crafting armor? Do you have a foam ruler? If not,
Yes.
you can make one.
Yes. Oh, Oh, look, what do I got here? I got
Ta-da!
a foam roller. They come in handy for circumference. As soon as I saw bills, I'm thinking I used to cut strips of foam, wrap them to get the dimension, okay, and then throw it away.
Yeah.
So I would just cut strips. And finally, Bill goes, well, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's the same thing, but it's not throwing it away. So I just made that's a great idea. So I used to do the same thing and just wrap it and then get my dimensions. But then as soon as I saw the foam ruler thing, that's so good idea. Foam ruler.
Yeah, I still have the first one made. It's an original Will Morgan thing made by Will. And he built for me when he worked in my shop alongside me, and I've kept that thing ever since. And I've had to do some clever editing in some of my sponsored videos because he drew a giant penis on one side, and it keeps showing up in my videos. So thanks, buddy.
Oh, God, it's good.
Yeah,
Oh,
the gift that keeps on giving. All right,
keep
let's
on
grab
giving. All right.
one more question from our buddy Hey Patch. He just joined the Bandsaw Club. Welcome to the wonderful club of the Bandsaw.
You can do so much for the bandsaw.
Any advice for coming to grips or getting practice with the bandsaw? What are the best blades? Well, we went over the blades, so get your 18 TPI metal cutting blade. You're good to go. Other than that, consider the options you have. I presume the one that you have, you can tilt the bed and make nice beveled cuts.
Yes.
And I presume it has a fence. If it doesn't have a fence, you can get a third-party fence. Or just...
That's right.
I know how Hey Patch works. He'll probably just clamp on a piece of wood to make his own fence, which is fine.
Right. These parts I made right here with the bandsaw.
Yes.
These tapered cones of bandsaw.
Yeah. Get to know what physically is going on with that blade so that you're aware of how you can make it do your bidding. There's a lot of really fun creative stuff. In fact, if you go watch some of Jimmy Diresta's videos, he doesn't do stuff with foam, but he does a lot of stuff with bandsaws. You'll start to get an idea of what you can accomplish with that thing.
Who was that again, Bill? Who was that?
Jimmy Diresta.
All right, I'll look that up. Definitely.
If you're not watching Jimmy Diresta on YouTube, Ted, then what are you doing with your life?
I'll say I'm falling behind.
That's right. All right, cool. Last question. That was great. Thank you, Hey Patch. Thank you, everyone else who brought your wonderful, wonderful questions. You guys are awesome. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. So hats off to the Prop Tarts. Although I'm not actually taking my hat off because then someone might get bingo. Haha, suckers. Hey, Ted, thank you so much for hanging out for the last hour.
Hey, guys, thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
If you guys haven't gone to eviltedsmith.com and check out what Ted's doing, then what are you doing? Get on over there. Go check out Ted's YouTube videos. Go follow him on Twitch. Watch him live. And tell him we sent you.
All right, guys, thanks so much. And also, don't forget, I'll be putting up new patterns this week of my ram horns. I'm working on it right now. So
that sounds awesome.
Guys, thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. And we'll see you all on the next Prop Live. Bye, everybody. Yeah.